Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about the OTK stuff. So, I don't doubt that they did a legitimate third-party investigation on all of the Miz stuff. I'm sure they did. I think it's a real big disservice to the entire community to not publicize the results of that investigation. I wasn't there, so I don't know what the truth is, but I imagine the investigation would have come as close as possible to finding the truth. And since all of this was in the public discourse, why wouldn't you release the findings of the investigation publicly? I feel like that's just a huge misstep. Like, it's hard for me to, like, just believe it. Like, why not show the results? Yeah, Tiana's watching, what the fuck's it called? The Recruit? Or something. So right now, Miz board duties are suspended and he's under a monitored probation with OTK, but he is back to being a member. And like I said, I don't doubt they went to a third party since they listed or named the third party investigation, like the organization that conducted it. But they needed to publicize that publicly so everyone could see the information, see the evidence, and then decide for themselves if this is a situation that was misunderstood, misconstrued, and make their decisions themselves. Because just taking the bland is the wrong word, but taking like the PR statement at face value is going to be super, super hard for most people, including me. I would have liked to see the evidence that was picked up by the investigation team. I don't know why they wouldn't make that public when everything else about it was public. So you need to prove it publicly, I would think. That's how I would have liked that to be handled. I'm sure it involves testimony which can't be disclosed. Okay, I don't need specifics. I don't need to know every participant's social security number. I just mean like the general scope of what they investigated, how they conducted it, what did they find in a general sense, and then people can draw their own conclusions from all of the evidence that was collected by a neutral third party, and everyone then can make their decision on do they forgive Mizkif, should Mizkif even go back to OTK, and all of that. I just really think that should have been a public thing from the investigation report. Should have been a press release from the law firm. Agreed, yeah. And of course you can redact sensitive information. I don't think there's any merit in seeing very particulars about people involved. Just giving like the actual general evidence that you have collected would be sufficient. You don't have to put anyone's safety in jeopardy. But since all of this happened very publicly, it should all be revealed publicly. Yeah, watch Lud's vid. Why does he have the does he have the investigation reports? This is kind of quiet. Is this quiet on stream for you guys or not?
Let's just take a look at the Forbes top 10 most valuable esports companies. At the top, you can see TSM, 100 Thieves, Liquid, and FaZe Clan. Well, let's just take a look at TSM. How are they doing? Oh, they had a deal with FTX
jeepers.
that got suspended.
Zoinks.
$210 million. Okay, that's all right. Well, how about 100 Thieves? Are they? Oh, they laid off a bunch of people. Okay, well, you got to reduce overheads sometimes. Okay, what about Liquid? Oh, a deal with Coin.
And you guys always doubted me. I have told you since starting Moist Esports and getting into the scene, every goddamn tier 1 org is dreadfully overvalued and they're all hemorrhaging money. Just because they have those big fat like financial end of year statements like this doesn't mean they're profitable. In fact, up until the FTX collapse, TSM and I think it was 100 Thieves were the only two turning any meaningful profit, and 100 Thieves was making profit entirely off of the companies they absorb, which is, you know, they're doing merch. They recently bought like Respawn chairs, I think. And then they also have their keyboard company. They're making it on things that aren't esports centric. It's like accessories in the space. Esports as a whole has like a 15x multiple on their valuation, which is ridiculous, and none of them are making money.
Because I like esports, and I like anyone who takes an attempt at making it work. It just doesn't seem like the economics of it match the ambitions of a lot of the people inside of the sphere. What does work, however? Content teams, influencers, signing content creators, which a lot of esports orgs do, and that seems to be the profitable part of their business, and it's also what some content teams do. I mean, take offline TV, for example. You put all these people in a room, they print out multiple million view videos that they can sell giant sponsors on. I mean, pretty much every one of their videos has a sponsor, and they're getting buku bucks for that. with pretty low overhead because they each have their own individual careers. Now imagine you could combine the content team of OTV.
No, Moist Esports is very, 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 very far from profitable. It's not even close. Lettuce said nothing that's wrong right now about esports. It is not a profitable scene. None of the orgs can actually figure out a way to make money from esports directly. It's all through like the accessory stuff. Like again, 100 Thieves and their merch, their chairs, their keyboards, shit like that. None of them are properly monetizing the space, but everything is so overvalued that everyone for some reason has this desire to get in. So it attracts a lot of venture capital. Why are esports teams so overvalued? Because the space has become like a gold rush. So esports is blown up. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry now. So that's attracted a ton of the old money who sees the numbers and they're like, wow, this must be like a great space for making cash. Like, for example, Vinnick, the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning, owns Team Liquid. And you're telling me he knows anything about gaming? Absolutely not. It's just all of this old money saw these big numbers and they got into the space, which drove the value of every esports org through the goddamn roof way too quickly. So now everything just has a massive, massive, massive overvaluation.
With maybe the more
rigid
Shaq
owns
structure of
NRG.
an esports org. And you end up with something like OTK, One True King. A streamer-backed esports org that doesn't really do esports. I mean, they had a team in World of Warcraft, but they dropped the team, so they're pretty much just sticking with the good old-fashioned content creator route, which is smart because they're not only able to sell sponsors on the watch hours of all the people inside the org, they're also able to sell things directly to consumers with businesses they start, like Starforge Systems. I mean,
this is a good question, actually. Outside of talent, what are the big costs of esports that stop them from making a profit? So, right away, player salaries are huge in the space, at least depending on the games. But player salaries are big because you have to think, you're paying 5 players plus a coach if you're in like something like CSGO, and a manager, and travel costs for 6 people. And you don't make any money off of the events unless it's like a major prize pool, and even then it's only a percentage. Now, Moist Esports, we make 0% when our teams win. That all goes to our players because for us, it's just fun content. I stream it, I watch party it, people sub, maybe people buy the merch, so it kind of offsets a little bit, but never actually comes close to breaking even or anything. But it's worth it for me because of the content. But for like a normal esports org that has venture capital backing, all of that budget is spent on the salaries, the travel, in the hopes that they win a major where they make usually like 20 to 30, well, it really varies, but let's just be safe and say somewhere between 20 and 30% of the prize pool. And that's, take something like Rocket League. That's, let's say, first place at one of the regionals. You get 90K. I think it was 90K when we won the spring major. So you're taking 20% of that. That's still not a lot for a major esport. So you don't make a lot of money from winning. So then you have to try and make it elsewhere. So you're spending tons of money on these salaries. So what do? In some esports orgs, they get really shady, in my opinion, and they start taking from their players' revenue on stream. I don't know how common this is anymore, but when we first got in here, that seemed to be pretty common. So the org actually takes a percentage of their stream revenue in order to try and make some of that money back, which I think is fucked up. But that was another way that they tried to monetize the esports scene. And that still isn't a ton because the streamers, they're still making the lion's share. The org's getting a percentage of that, and they're still paying tons of money for the salaries and all of the teams built around them. So what else do? Well, they try merch. Merch is usually pretty good, but it's not the hardest hitting because not too many people are running around with. We'll just use what's a good one. I don't want to do phase. I'm trying to think of a more less. We'll say G2. Like merch is good for G2, but no one's buying tons of G2 merch every single time. Plus, the players promoting it, it doesn't feel genuine most of the time. And as a viewer, you're not going in there listening to one of the players talk about the merch and be like, oh, he's talking about it because he really likes it. it's a contractual obligation, and everyone knows that. So they're not super interested in just buying it based on that. So there's just not many ways that these teams are bringing in big money. And they're paying so much on the salaries and the travel and all of the verticals they had to build around it just to make it function. I missed it. It was something like esports merch should be sleek and with a small logo and look good. That's what we believe as well. That's why our Moist Esports shit just looks really good on its own. You'd never know that it's Moist Esports or anything gaming related, except for the jersey, obviously. The jersey's very clearly a jersey, but like the tracksuit and shit is just something you can wear everywhere and no one would have any idea. Because it just looks good. Feels good.
I mean, imagine if I had swipe bidets and then I had a team of 10 creators that I worked with all the time and they all sold swipe bidets individually. We'd get a lot of buttholes clean in the new year. So it makes sense. And don't just take my word for it. Let's look at the most popular Twitch teams by hours watched. Obviously, G Fuel at the top. They have 671 creators. XQC's org, he's up top there. Loaded, they have a bunch of big creators. And OTK's fourth. They're fourth with only 14 people, and a couple of their creators barely streamed over the past year for reasons we're going to get into. Now, I haven't made any videos about OTK because, well, none of the individual pieces felt substantial enough to talk about for longer than a couple of minutes.
I thought it looked good, deep.
But enough has happened over the past year, and especially with the update last night that ended the investigation on Mizkif, that I feel like we can talk about it all today. Now, we're going to get to the investigation with Mizkif at the end, but first, let's do things in order with what started off their terrible month of December, and it involves another one of their founders, Rich Campbell. Now, Rich Campbell, if you don't know, is a esports host turned streamer who did a lot of maybe the more business side of things behind OTK, and one of the people
Blood
that
reacting
he used
to you,
to be in a
reacting to
relationship
him.
with
Hey!
on Twitter, dropped a tweet longer.
Hope you're having a great stream, big guy. Esports needs sponsors. Nope, esports has tons of sponsors. It's just still not enough to make up for the massive cost and salaries and all of the people that are required to make teams and run the orgs. Like shit, TSM has, who is it, Chevrolet? Fuck. Mercedes? Like every major car brand is in the esports scene right now. I said this before, Moist Esports almost got Jaguar. I always exaggerate that, but they were interested for like a day. But like the thing is, most big car brands are in esports. Like that's not an issue, but it's still just not enough to offset the huge costs. You have to think about. I see people keep comparing it to sports. Like, how do sports make money? Well, there's an obvious difference between sports and esports. When you own a sports team, how do you think you're making the most amount of money? Ticket sales to go watch your team play. The beauty of esports is you don't have to go anywhere to watch them. You go on Twitch, you go on YouTube, and you watch them for free. Like, you're not selling tickets. It's a totally different landscape. TV contracts as well. Yeah, it's so different. And I guess merch, because sports has been around for so long, it's like cool to wear sports merch. That's fair. Esports isn't there yet. Like, no need to pretend that it is. Esports isn't on the same level as normal sports merch yet. But yeah, tickets is still a huge part. TV contracts still a huge part, obviously. Tickets is drops in the bucket. Okay, I think in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to big sports, yes, tickets are not their number one cash cow for it, but it is significantly more than esports has when it comes to like steady revenue. There are so many other ways of monetizing like traditional sports than esports right now. And that's what a lot of people are now learning after getting in the space.
About a terrible experience she had with Rich. And I really recommend you read this on your own because I think it states how she feels about it more clearly and everything that happened more clearly. But I'm going to read you two excerpts. I'm not here to sleep with you, and I do not want that. That is Lexi to Rich Campbell when they were hanging out at Rich's place. And then Rich replied, by jerking off in front of her while continuing to talk about her getting pregnant and then begging her to have sex with him. After she said no, he continually attempted to take her clothes off. She kept saying no, and at the very end, he rolled her over and put himself inside of her and finished unprotected. That was hard to read, but it is a clear picture of sexual assault, rape, just outright. Now, Rich hasn't replied to this yet, but there were a lot of text messages that backed up them being together at that exact moment, him asking her to come over, etc., and it ended off with a text from him to her right after it ended with the same timeline saying, "You okay?" So I believe the account. You can wait for Rich Campbell's statement, which hasn't come out yet, but it's pretty clear that OTK also believes the statement, or at least is concerned enough about it that they instantly, and I mean instantly, dropped him. Within like hours of the statement coming out, he was booted from OTK,
it was sub 3 hours. It was a little speed run, honestly.
One of the founders of it, and they kicked him out. So that was a terrible thing to happen. But the next week, the troubles didn't end for OTK as a whole because they lost a huge part of their organization. Jay Schlatt. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you the value that Jay Schlatt has on the YouTube algorithm. He's one of my most viewed videos on pretty much every single one of my channels, and he's part of the reason why Mogul Mail even exists today, because the weekly slap is what inspired me originally. And he mutually agreed to leave OTK. Now, it might not seem like a big hit because, you know, he's not much of a streamer. He doesn't stream too often.
But he's a huge content
many people
creator.
Didn't even know he was in OTK. But if you look at OTK's YouTube channel, that has almost 600,000 subscribers, that was built by Jay Schlatt. Let's just take a look at the top 10 most viewed videos. 9 of them.
Well, you can even just look at the newest videos. Every single one of them has Jay
13
Schlatt.
of the top 15. He
He's a tier 1 soap in the recent
OTK
Pogs in
YouTube,
green.
and I think that's a big thing to lose. And then the week after that, which was actually just last night, we finally got the end to the investigation on Mizkif over the alleged sexual assault cover-up involving his best friend at the time, Crazy Slick. But even if we just ignore the entirety of the investigation, I think it's pretty safe to say that a lot of the allegations made in the original tweet by Trainwreck were outright false. I covered this in a video I made yesterday called I Lied, but if we just go over it one more time again, there was no blackmail.
Cody in the prime
not an iota of blackmail was seen. When Train said, "Are you going to send Maya and Mitch to
kind of backpedal real quick though, I don't think anyone was like initially talking about OTK investigating themselves, because they did immediately make it clear they were sending it off to the Jackson Walker LLP, or a third-party investigation firm. I think the reason why people are saying that now is because they didn't publicize the results. Of course, I haven't finished the video yet. I wonder if Ludwig has the same take on it that I do, but I think it's a huge disservice to take something so public and then privatize the information that was found. It makes it very hard to take their word for it and trust everything was done fairly, over the board, everything treated equally, and reaching this conclusion. I think that's why people are saying they investigated themselves and found themselves guilty of no wrongdoing or whatever.
to say that as the one thing that did age really poorly and that was pretty bad of Mizkif, aka this clip. Well, let's just play my reaction here.
Single person that we used to hang out with that doesn't hang out with Slick anymore because of what happened. I actually think there's literally none. Because the reality is, worst comes to worst of it, it's fucking like sexual harassment, right? I mean, like who, like,
man, this is deep. Blood.
Sexual harassment, whatever.
Jesus Christ.
Now, this was a clip from Miz that was on his alt stream that didn't sound so nice in the moment. And this is what I said about it.
At a low scale, it's not really a big deal.
It's like going to a carnival into that house of mirrors.
This is Miz speaking way too candidly and way too stupidly about sexual
Back to
assault,
Lud 1?
saying it's low scale, like there's a tier list that we have to drop every year on what sexual assault we need to rank S tier, what sexual assault we need to rank F tier. And I lambasted him a bit for
Back
that
to Lud
comment because it was pertaining to sexual assault, which is like a big deal. But I was wrong. He wasn't talking about sexual assault at the time. It was only known that Crazy Slick, his roommate at the time, sexually harassed Adriana. That's based off her words. Listen to this.
I've only recently figured out and found out, especially without sitting, that it's sexual assault.
So I feel like that covers it. I'm just playing that clip again because it is totally coincidental that I happened to upload that video yesterday or 2 days ago, and then they did this announcement yesterday. Now, I never made a video about this. I never really talked about this, so a lot of you might not know. But after
he had a really awful fucking
the initial
comeback
apology
stream
that Mizkif made on Twitter, he kind of went radio silent for a while. He didn't stream for a long time, and then he suddenly was like, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to stream. Fine.
And it was also after redoing that apology on Twitter 5 times and every time missing like the actual problem with it. It was rough. Like that whole series there was an absolute disaster.
But his comeback stream was, to put it lightly, embarrassing. It started with an hour of him basically stalling because Hassan and XQC were both reacting to him to try to see what he was going to say about the investigation, or what he was going to say about the entire situation.
Jesus, 2022.
And Mizkif, in response to this, played
We're beyond
Super
that
Mario
now.
64 and said, I'm going to keep playing until you guys stop watching me. And they didn't. So then he eventually ponied up, and then he said, I have no news. Which by itself would just be like, you know, kind of embarrassing. But then he also had this moment, which was really just dumb.
No matter what, dude. One of my things.
Now, this is a tattoo artist who talks about how good he is at cover-ups, specifically with bad tattoos.
I am a master at cover-ups and reconstruction.
Me too, for 4 years.
Excuse me?
I think this will not look good like this. Like, let's.
That's
Good
tough.
one.
He also pulled up this video of sexual harassment is illegal. It was just kind of tone deaf. I don't think he had a
forgot about
plan
that
going
second
into
part.
the stream. And although it doesn't seem like anything involving a sexual assault cover-up was true, it is true that he made an inappropriate joke about sexual harassment and that he had some unsavory clips and like random
Thanks again,
calls.
J-Fish. Appreciate it, man.
Generally, I just don't think handled it as well as he could have or should have. And I think it's pretty clear that my boy Stans had the better path of what you should do in that position.
And you just go, hey, chat, I've been gone for 3 weeks thinking about everything that's happened. There's an investigation going on, so I can't say anything about it. I hope to give you guys the truth, but in the meantime, I am out of OTK on whatever. I'm going to be streaming like normal so I can make money to pay my rent for the next after this, but today I'm going to leave. I hope I can share more information with you soon. And then you turn off stream. That's it. Literally, that's it.
That's
Super
ridiculous,
mature Stans
Stans. That doesn't make any sense. You can't get any farming done in that way. Preposterous. Preposterous. Stans once again showcasing that not only was he not God's gift to boxing, he's not God's gift to PR.
The drama, OTK has decided
if you're
to
here, Stans, fucking
remove
love you, man.
his board duties effective immediately and place him on monitored probation, which is basically just them saying, hey, we're going to punish him because we acknowledge that it was bad, but we're not going to kick him off. And I think, honestly, if Mizkif wasn't such an important piece of OTK for the first year and a half of its creation, I mean, every big stream was on his channel. He was really carrying the org on the live stream front. He probably would have been kicked off. Straight up.
100%.
If he wasn't that valuable, they probably would have booted him for just how he handled it. And that's about it. I think that covers pretty much everything.
Oh.
Let me know your thoughts, and thanks for watching. All right, subscribe. All right, see you later. Goodbye. That's pretty much it. That happened to the OTK. Don't start an esports org. And honestly, content teams,
Hey.
there's a risk in working with a lot of people because you have to count on those people to be good people. But you never know who's a good person. I could be a bad person. Don't trust anyone, except for people you love. All right.
Okay. Overall, a great recap. Again, I still 100% think this was a mishandling of not publicizing the investigation results. You don't need to get into the specifics if it puts anyone's safety at jeopardy. This was a very public problem. You can't have the evidence that was collected be private, because now no one's ever going to believe it, including me. I have a very hard time believing it. I would like to see everything. I don't know what the truth of the situation was, which is why I'd like to see what's available so I can make my own informed decision on what likely happened and what went on, and who better to get that from than the fucking Jackson Walker LLP third-party investigation unit turbo survival training force. Like, I would like whatever they collected to reach this conclusion to look at myself, to reach my own conclusion. So hopefully, like, I don't think it's too late to release it. They absolutely can. Be like, hey, upon further reflection, we feel it's in the community's best interest so you can see everything that we have about this situation, and everyone can make their own opinion and form their own conclusions on, where to go from here. Like, I don't think it's too late. They can absolutely still release it. I think most people already have their minds made up, guilty or not, regardless of evidence. That's a pretty defeatist look. Right now, there is no evidence from this investigation. The most unbiased investigation, I imagine, since it's a third party, and they didn't provide any evidence to contribute to this, so of course everyone already still has their minds made up. But if they release this evidence, there's a chance it could change mind. If there's good evidence, good collection of data and everything, but they didn't provide it. So everyone's still in the exact same headspace with the exact same information that we had 2 months ago. Why keep all of the evidence private? You can redact information that's sensitive and puts people at risk, and release the general findings publicly and let everyone look at it. It's just, I think that's very, very easy. I have a hard time looking at this and just believing everything was great. He was innocent on everything that they investigated. However, if they provided the evidence and I could go through it, maybe I'd see it and be like, oh, it turns out he truly was innocent on everything. And this Discord call was misunderstood, or this stream moment was misunderstood. Like, possible? Like, the point is just having it so I can see and make my own decisions on it. That's all I'm saying. If you're at the point where you're going to doubt findings from Jackson Walter, you're probably not going to believe the report. Again, it might not change everyone's mind, it might not change anyone's mind. I just think it's important to have for the complete picture on everything. Of course, I think the history of Twitter has shown us people will disregard things that don't fit with what they I did see that. Did you see the Michigan quarterback's dad copping a feel on national TV? I saw that floating around on Reddit. That was pretty goofy. Yeah, apparently that was his son's girlfriend too. So they all celebrate and she turns around and the guy's like kind of getting little like touches and like squeezes on her tuchus. Let me see if I can still find that. He gives it a little slap. Yep. Nice one, Dad. Whee! Michigan! It really wasn't that bad. What the fuck? Like, yeah, of course you didn't go, like, squeezing and sniffing and everything, but yeah, that's still that shit is so weird. Especially knowing that that's his son's girlfriend, and it's on TV. Like, it's still not... Still slyly copping a feel is fucking weird regardless. The fuck do you mean? But yeah, it's not the most bold attempt. That still goes to that guy who went into a bank and got on his hands and knees and started sniffing a girl's ass while she was waiting in line. Did it like 3 times. I don't know if I could ever find that video again. I don't even know what the fuck it's called. That was in a gym? No, the one I'm talking about's in a bank. How often does that shit happen? Because I'm talking about the one in a bank. Find it? Let me just type in those particulars and see if I find it. I know which gym one you're talking about. That's not who I'm talking about. Ah, yeah. Here it is. This is the one I was talking about. Can I show this on stream? Let me double check. Yeah, this one, it seems fine. But this is the one I was talking about. I think this is a bank, isn't it? I think it's a tier 1 Galactic in the resub Garcia and Neff. Wasn't enough, had to go back in there for that second taste. The encore. Then he flew too close to the sun. Mission failed. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if this is true or not, I'm pretty sure I remember reading that he got arrested. So, all's well that ends well, I guess. But yeah, he was getting in there. Man was actually sniffing dingleberries out of her ass. Bro had to do a triple take. Yeah. He kept going in. Gluttonous. This is a skit? News to me. What's the skit? Because this just looks like someone recorded security camera footage, like one of the guards. It'd be a weird skit. This happens shockingly often, at least more often than you'd expect.
Wow.
I actually forgot how into this he gets. God, good fucking lord.
Wow.
That's the first one. That's the first one.
Dirty motherfucker.
Wait, bro, it gets better because now he's about
Now this guy I know got arrested for this.
Oh my
Well, I guess I
God.
can't say I know, but I read from multiple sources this guy did get arrested.
he broke away. So left to be forward, Greg.
Oh my god. I'm having fucking.
Go.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Like he's going in there like he's at like the
last
icy machines at a gas station.
Oh my god. So I had to do the second video.
What did they
This
call
is
it
the
in
final
Encino Man?
This is the fourth time he comes
Squeezing
in.
the juice?
They-
Or wheezing the juice.
Oh shit.
Yep. The old quadruple take. Literally so fucked up. Yeah, which is why I got arrested for it, man. You can't be doing that kind of shit. I don't know why you'd want to do that kind of shit to begin with. But yeah. Fucking degenerate. What's the charge for that? The fuck do you mean with the charge for that? I think they go for, at bare minimum, sexual harassment. Public indecency, it not at all applies to that, I don't think. But easily, like, sexual harassment, or even up to assault, considering he put his face in her ass. So I'm pretty sure that crosses the assault barrier since it got physical. You see Meat Canyon's video on Logan Paul? I saw he posted it. I haven't had the chance to watch it yet, though. I am so excited. Maybe tomorrow after Logan Paul's video. I'm so excited for Logan Paul's video tomorrow. I cannot wait to see how he tries to defend himself. Thought it was on the 3rd. He moved it up a day. He's doing it tomorrow. He's gonna make so much money out of it too. Probably. But the reputational hit he takes, I think, voice crack loses him more money than that video will make. It's not gonna sink him, unfortunately. Even though he's kind of dead to rights on the CryptoZoo scam, I don't see how he wiggles his way out of it. I'm very open to be proven wrong, but I just don't see how it's possible. But regardless, his career's not over. Coffee saying it might be a ploy for people to buy even more Zoo. Yeah, I was talking to Coffee about it. It seems like the only thing that comes from this is Logan Paul winning. Because people are already buying CryptoZoo dip, even though it's a fucking blatant not working product. And people are still buying it. Why buy something that's not even fixed? You have to understand the kind of people you're dealing with when it comes to the crypto space. Every single one of them's not there for the product or anything. They're there with the false belief that they're somehow going to make money off of it without ever realizing they're the ones getting the scam, not the ones scamming. They're not in on it. They're just victims. They bounce project to project getting fucked and never learning from it. So right now the people buying the CryptoZoo dip are under the impression that when Logan Paul talks about it, the price will go up and they'll sell before they lose their ass. Maybe some of them will. Possibly. Most of them won't. They'll once again just lose more. You think crypto scams will start dying out? I think they already have. NFTs are dead. Which by extension has meant most cryptos are dead. So yeah, they're already dying out. You see Logan Paul bombarded his friend for his religious beliefs. This was super cringe. I did see that. This was actually ahead of CoffeeZilla's video. He tried really hard to do the enlightened atheist Redditor thing here on his show. And it was just fucking awful. I don't know what he was thinking. Like, regardless of your stance on religion, why confront your friend about it in such an aggressive, condescending way? I really think he was trying to score brownie points, like, once again going for, like, the safest possible stuff. Like, oh, okay, most people, like, make jokes about Christianity, so, like, yeah, they'll probably like this. But he committed so hard to it, and he fucked it.
Guys,
I won't
I've
play
been
the whole
bullying
thing, but
George.
it's bad.
I've been bullying him so hard. I thought this was so funny, bro.
Logan Paul put out a new
Oh, come on, where's just the core? I don't want to go through this. I just want to see the core components here. Oh, here.
A lot of progress happens with a lot of work, right? So if a bodybuilder's buff, he had to work out a lot, he had to eat, he had to make the right decisions.
What about steroids?
So you guys have made great decisions when it comes to business. You guys have made
That
great
didn't age
decisions
well.
when it comes to like a lot of things. But what you guys have cared to ever open up is that spiritual side. So
Here's
what I
some
would
cane.
really, really, really highly suggest is tap in, and I'm not suggesting mine, but I'm just saying tap into one, and see.
Is this
how it
not the right
affects our
clip?
Emotions, because emotions.
Oh wait, you're right. This is George talking about it with him. Does he not fight him in
What is
this?
spiritual value?
I'm spiritual. I'm very spiritual. I pray every night. In fact,
Wait, what?
it's
What?
You do? Since when?
I pray every night.
I pray twice a day.
I'll pray right now. I'll do a prayer right now. Like I
This is from 9 months ago. Wait, you're right. Well, he changed his tune real quick. What the fuck? Okay, that didn't last long. All right, within 9 months, he logged into Reddit and found atheism. I don't know. Okay, even more in line with what I was saying, he's just very fake. He chooses whatever he thinks is the most like lukewarm stance and gets aggressive about it. And he tried it with Christianity against his friend George here, and it didn't work. It's so fucking bad. Like, it's embarrassing to listen to. Is it this? This is just a YouTube short.
Because I'll be honest with you, bro. Jesus Christ fucks.
Oh God. Genuinely, I know people that hate me, that treat me better about my faith than you, and you're my best friend. So like, one that really hurt me is you told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus.
I just am definitely questioning why we have to perpetuate a belief that is fucking silly. I think it's a silly practice to engage in, and I think it deserves.
I imagine this isn't the whole thing.
Because I'll be honest with you, bro.
Yeah. He went on and on for a little while post that. Even still, it's just dumb. It's just still stupid. But yeah, he changed real quick in 9 months, I guess. Very, very good arguments. See a therapist because you believe in Jesus. Look, man, I'm not the most religious man in the world, but I don't mind people who are. By all means. Like, whatever makes people happiest, go for it. You found answers, I'm happy to hear it. It's such an easy thing. Hey, you know, I'm not that spiritual, George, but I appreciate you looking out for me in that way. Like, it's just simple, and then you move on. You know, it's easy. Or if you want to joke with your friend about it, do it in a more entertaining way. It's not about what makes you happy, it's about the truth. You will never find the fucking truth. That's the whole point. There's a level of just belief and faith you have to have, no matter what. The truth is something that will legitimately always elude you when it comes to the biggest possible picture. There's no point in being that fucking douchebag who's like, no, but it's a fucking 10,000-year-old book of garbage. It's all a lie. You don't have to believe it. It's fine. I just don't see the point in shitting on the guy for it. But you can make jokes out of it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I make plenty of jokes with my friends, like, on the podcast. Like, it's fine. But it's never at a point where it's never coming from a place of, like, hatred for it. Like Wendigoon, when he came on, he was telling us all the biblical stories. None of us are that religious, but we appreciate his faith, and we welcome it, and we love learning about it. It's a simple thing. It's a very simple thing. There's no point in being that guy. It's like, that's not the truth. That is not the truth. You shouldn't believe that because it's not the truth. Paradox crypto update? Sure, let's take a peek. It's holding steady at that 3 cents. Kind of a, you know, bittersweet victory, but yeah, it's holding there at 3 cents. I have to imagine development on that game's coming along great, though. Is it the end of Logan Paul after mocking religion and scamming? No, man, what the fuck? No, it's not. It is so far from the end of Logan Paul, and the making fun of religion is going to be the last thing that would have ever gotten him taken out. He wouldn't have lost his, empire from mocking religion. It was just another fucking goofy, embarrassing moment from him. Even the scamming, as horrible as it is not going to lose him shit. Legitimately, like, a heinous crime. Scamming's horrible, but it's not to the level of, like, a sex crime, murder, shit like that. Those, I think, would be the only things. It'd have to be, like, a crime that he faces real time for. He survived showing a suicide victim. Yeah, but as bad as that is, that's still not a crime, per se. So he always was going... Like I've said a million times, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter who you are, if you have a following, you will always have a following. You will always have people that support you no matter what you do. And they'll just write off anything that makes you look bad. You will always have a following. The only thing that would sink someone of Logan Paul's size is legitimately a fucking crime that he cannot defend himself from. He could film a dead body tomorrow, post it on YouTube as a joke, as like an anniversary from the 5 years of the suicide forest, and he would still be fine in a month. You keep saying, like, EDP, but you guys realize EDP still has a huge audience on TikTok that unironically support him. He lost his following in most places, but like I said, No matter what, you will always have a following, no matter what you've done, no matter what you've said, unless you are actually facing time for what, like a crime. EDP is an open pedophile. A history of it. And still has an unironic following on TikTok. And a big one at that. Is it Chris D'Elia, which is what I've always said, or is it Chris D'Elia? How the fuck do you say his name? Yeah, I know everything about that guy. He was one of my least favorite stand-up comedians way before all of his sex crimes were known. Dahlia. Chris Dahlia. Dahlia. Oh my god, I'm getting mixed ones. Most people are saying Dahlia. Chris D'Elia. Okay. Yeah, that guy sucks. That guy, he, like, super sucks. He's pretty big on YouTube, I know, and it's sad. Even just setting aside all of the sexual crimes and shit, he is just a legitimately horrible stand-up comedian. I remember his podcast wasn't that bad, but it was mainly because the people around him were good. But man, his stand-up was fucking unwatchable. He's widely respected in stand-up. Oh, and then... So you're being sarcastic. Yeah, I still remember during the roast of Justin Bieber, when Hannibal was just going in, the one he said for Chris D'Elia was just really simple. He's like, yeah, everyone's got like a vice, like drinking and shit. But Chris D'Elia, his only vice is telling horrible stand-up. And I was like, God, that's the truest thing I ever fucking heard in my life. He's not nearly as bad as Amy. I don't put Chris D'Elia in my top 3 worst comedians of all time. That is still reserved for Amy Schumer, Brendan Schaub, and James Corden. Yes, he doesn't breach the top 3, but he is definitely top... Maybe even top 5. Safely top 10. Maybe top 5. I'd have to think. Oh yeah, that was actually entertaining. Chris D'Elia... God. Chris... I will never get his... I will legitimately never get his name right. Chris D'Elia... Chris... Man, fuck his stupid name too. Yes, he played a predator in one of his shows he was on. I think it was You. And then it turns out he was a legitimate predator in real life. It's not a hard name to say. I know, but I've just always called him Chris D'Elia for so long I can't break the habit. I've just had no respect for him for such a long time. I never bothered to get his name right until tonight. And it's just, I'm having a tough time breaking it. It was Workaholics where he played the predator? No, what, didn't he also play a predator in You? Let me see. Yeah, he did. You producers reached out to teen cast member after the Chris D'Elia allegations. Yeah, he was in You as well. He played a predator there. Yeah, following the sexual assault allegation. Yeah. But he was a predator in Workaholics too. I mean, hey, he knew the right role for him. I can say a lot of bad things about that guy, but one thing I have to get him credit for is choosing the roles that fit him best. Method actor. True. Yeah, he was getting into character. No, I haven't seen the Meat Canyon Logan Paul video yet. Like I said, I'll probably watch that tomorrow after Logan Paul's video defending himself from the scam stuff. He's a gift sub muck. I don't know how he's gonna do it. He's got his work cut out for him because this was an investigation that spanned over the course of a fucking year. And Logan Paul's trying to do this assignment day of. Logan Paul's prepped for like less than a week, I think, since his initial statement. So, it's going to be a tough one for him. We'll see.